Yo, 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 what it do, family? High value basketball. We are back with the best basketball commentary this side of the planet, you dig? We're going to do a wonderful read through and a nice cover and comparison of Eurobasket as opposed to NBA. The very popular app or news section, news company, sports news company, Bleacher Report. They did a wonderful, very interesting article where they were talking about how basically Eurobasket has shown to be a higher quality or more succinct or more pure version of basketball as opposed to the NBA. And we're going to read through it and we're going to talk about why, for me, I actually agree, to be real. So we're going to jump right into it. So, right as the article says, what the NBA can learn and take from Eurobasket. So it says a little intro there, but then it gets right into it here. Right here where we talk about this tweet here. A tweet from NBA University they used to highlight their point and start it off. It says, Eurobasket is a beautiful product. Electric pacing, quick ref decision making, very little foul grifting and flopping, coaches mic'd up in the huddle. The NBA should try to implement some changes, but a significant cultural shift is required to replicate the fun and ethical ball happening. So right off the bat, they just get right into it, man. Because when they talk about the style of play, at first I didn't even really notice it until later on. If you watch those games in live action, the game is way more fluid. They are up and down the court. Like there is no constant, foul calls. There's no slowing down the pace of the game a lot. People players are literally just walking the ball up. No, they're all hustling all up the court and stuff. The ball is always moving. There's a lot of contact. That players play through. And like they said, there's not a lot of flopping, which is hilarious. And I'll actually get into why that's hilarious a little bit later because they talk about that too. But we'll read more here. It says the pacing alone made the games more watchable The pacing alone made the games more watchable than a lot of NBA regular season affairs. The ball was moving up and down the floor like an 80s NBA game, or almost like a soccer match. Things just sort of flowed. And that was true for every country in the field, at least relative to most NBA action. A part of the result of what New Orleans Pelican executive, vice president of basketball operations, David Griffin, told Bleacher Report is a far more physical game. And that's very interesting. It says more. FIBA officials let a lot more incidental contact slide, and all the players are clearly used to it. They have no issue playing through, or at least trying to play through, contact. And they give a really good example here too, talking about Lauri Markkanen versus Willy Hernan Gomez, one of the stars there for Spain. Shout out to Spain. But yeah, here I'm gonna tap the play in a second. But before we get to that, let me say though, that's hilarious how they talk about it's a far more physical game. If y'all remember earlier, and as it too is generally espoused to European players, especially when they come over to the NBA, what we've always noticed, that those were weaker style players. Like they had weak games, they couldn't get to the basket in the NBA. They had a weak play style. Their athleticism couldn't keep up with NBA players, things of that nature. And now look where we are in 2022. They're talking about it's a more physical game, and it's more physical again, like they said before, because the refs aren't dealing with none of that flopping. They're not dealing with the foul begging, and people slowing the game up. They're saying, nah, play through this and man up. Let's go. And so that's very interesting how a change has happened in the NBA. And so let's look at the play here. Let's look at the play real quickity. Hands it off to Madsen, and he goes up and can tie it or take the lead with a three. Yeah, boom. You saw that reach in? That's generally a foul in the NBA, but nope, they played right through it. What else we got here? That's nothing really, no real big contact. Yeah, that's definitely contact. Okay, they call that, yeah, because he was moving. The defender was definitely moving his feet, taking his landing space. He certainly knows how to rile up the opposing fans and players. I know there's one highlight here that they're going to show. That really shows it. These some good ass highlights though. Lauri Markkanen out there showing out. That's another thing too, yo. A lot of these NBA players, man, that's in the league, they really, they definitely really showed themselves to be standing out. You know, of course, it's against technically for what it's worth, you know, a little bit lesser competition, but as they're supposed to, playing against lesser competition, they show out. So they really are showing that they do got, you know, some potential with them here. Boom. So yeah, they didn't really show it. I think it must have played earlier. Oh well, there was definitely one big playthrough where it showed Lauri Markkanen clearly getting fouled, and his shot was blocked actually, and the ball went to the other team, and he didn't cry about it. He got on the other end. So we'll just keep reading though. It says the brisk pace of games even makes it more of a mistake to stop and complain to a ref than it is an NBA contest. You'll notice Markkanen just gets back on defense after the block, and see, that's the play in question. Now they got to play that joint. They got to play that again. We're not gonna view no replies. We're not gonna do that. Hold up. Here it is. Yeah, see, it's right off the top. Boom, right there. See, that's the play right there off the top. See, well, nice watching the whole highlights. So that's the example that they're talking about, where he clearly gets fouled and he just doesn't complain and he just gets back on defense. And as we know in the NBA, you know, they're gonna be crying and looking at the ref all crazy. The team is gonna be running up the court. They're gonna have a offensive mismatch because old buddy, you know, whomever it may be, is busy crying about it. And so, yeah. So it says that, of course, adds to the watchability. And it does add to the watchability because it increases the competitiveness, because you see dudes focus more on the game and not trying to like manipulate the rules and use their emotions, you know, to get on the ref's nerves. Like, no, they play the game. It does make it more watchable. It says NBA players are understandably keyed up during games and they want to win. And has been for years. The line between simply asking for a foul and excessively whining has blurred. If a player thinks that overly demonstrative complaining will help his team to come out on top, and many seem to think so, they're going to do it. And that's really what it has evolved into. It says at Eurobasket, that level of complaining doesn't really exist. Again, the competitors don't want to get too far behind in the action, but they also seem to know that those officials will have a quick trigger on technical fouls. See, and that's what I'm talking about, the competitiveness. As they've noticed, the players don't want to miss out on the action. Like, they know that they got to keep their head in the game. Like, and they want to keep their head in the game. They want to be a part of the play. Like, that's way cooler to see, and way more about giving effort and being present in the game than basically being all ego stroking and strucking and being about me, and look at my foul, what happened? And so then here we get into the flopping, and this is the funny part where I talk about the shift in the NBA. And it says one way to draw a technical foul is by flopping, a rule that the NBA should adopt as soon as possible. So exaggerating, selling, or straight up faking contact has become customary within the NBA. You cannot watch a game without seeing it. The NBA stars are so used to getting certain calls that international competitors can throw them off their rhythm. And they're talking about here, just so y'all are clear, in Eurobasket, if you flop, you get a technical foul. It isn't just a regular foul as it is in the NBA. You get a whole tech. So it says during, we ain't even gonna read that part here. We're just gonna get right into the video. So it shows directly a technical call being fouled right off a foul. Here we go, watch. Here we go, coming up right now. Is that Valanciunas? Valanciunas is hitting with the shoulder. Clearly flop. Not a foul. Not a foul. Boom, technical. We call a whole technical on that. Let's go. So yeah, so they ain't even playing. They didn't switch things up completely over there, yo. And so that's hilarious. So I call that actually funny in talking about the shift in NBA, because if y'all remember, flopping was introduced to the NBA by European players. Dead ass. European players introduced that into the league. Manu Ginobili made it very not like he was the one who popularized it, because he was real slick with it. He wasn't just, you know, being an all right goof troop with it. He was really being slick with that stuff. And then who picked up on it to legitimize it in the league? Dwayne Wade. That's when once a you know traditional NBA star picked up on it, and Dwayne Wade kind of started flopping around a little bit. Oh, it was open floodgates. And then of course we got LeBron freaking James. So it became the first time ever that at the highest level of play, where the best player in the NBA is out there flopping. Because generally speaking, as we have always remembered, the best player and the best players, they didn't flop. Like, what were they out there flopping for? They were the best. It was about your pride and your ego. Like, I ain't finna be doing that goofy stuff out here. I could just body you with my game. And like I say, the European players were doing it because they couldn't keep up. They athletically were behind. And strength-wise and things of that nature. So they had to get a leg up. So they was out there flopping because they was getting bodied and make it look like they was getting hurt and fouled and stuff like that because they picked it up. They took it from soccer because 2/3 of all that stuff in soccer is flopping. Like, you have to exaggerate to get that yellow card. And definitely to get that red card. Like, y'all watch soccer a little bit, hopefully. Like, go out, watch soccer. That is flopping in body. That's when you should think about flopping, you should think soccer. So that's why it integrated from the European game and into the NBA. And so, LeBron completely legitimized it with him being, the highest NBA star, and he had to flopping. So then it just became a regular thing in the NBA. And so it's interesting that the NBA integrated flopping and it became normal. And then in Eurobasket and European basketball, they've squashed it out of their game, and the players are playing not necessarily tougher, but they're playing with more continuity in their game because of the rule changes. So that's the biggest hilarity about everything that's going on. And so then they talk about goaltending, and it's kind of funny because in European and in Olympic play, the ball is free to go after it hits the rim. It doesn't even have to be off the rim. If it's a missed shot and it's bouncing on the rim, it's fair game for anybody. And as they say, it increases the continuity of the game. It's more propensity for alley-oops, interest in blocks and deflections. Like I say, the pace of the game really doesn't stop that much. And here we'll see a prime example here. They say Draymond Green is picking up on it. Boom. and that's kind of slick. Like, for real talk. I'm gonna play it again. Like, y'all see how quick that was? It was a free throw. That's a free throw. Like, it could have potentially went in. That could potentially went in. But what happened? Draymond jumped in and said, "No, F that. Point out. Let's go. Get the ball up the court." Like, imagine adding that to the NBA, yo. The dudes gonna be out there hot, yo. Dudes gonna be out there mad as heck. Dudes out there deflecting they free throw, yo. I want to see that. I want to see that, bro. The ego and the trash talking. Oh my gosh. So yeah, as they say in closing, little things add up. You know what I'm saying? So literally, all those little things that we really just talked about. Imagine if, like, say, all of our NBA stars are out there truly giving more hustle just by the proximity of the rules and, like I say, the flow of the game and keeping things going. Like, we need way more Patrick Beverly style energy out there